Alright, so of course we'll just do a generic getting into the triangle because I want to cover some details on finishing and then also common problems and how to deal with them. Right, so let's start with 2 hands on 2 wrists, one arm in, one arm out, and getting into our triangle position here. Right, first things first, posture control. Right, so if he is posturing way up and being like really strong. Right, what we want to do is, what I like to do is try and find like the very tip of the back of his head, right, and we'll start rolling this down, right, so this should work against even the strongest people, right, because we're just having to move his head little by little, right, I'm not like coming here and trying to like hulk his posture down with one kind of forceful pull, right, I just want to just casually, right, little by little get it broken down, right, and I can either continue holding onto the back of his head here, or I like to actually reach and grab my shin, right, but whatever you like to do, just make sure that their posture is controlled, right, that's number one. And as we're moving around in the triangle position, anytime that I need to open up my legs to adjust the position, I always need to make sure I have some sort of posture control, be it behind the head or grabbing the shin here, right? Otherwise, if we're lazy, they're gonna posture out, we lose the triangle, they're gone forever, right? So, like even when a person's relaxed here, like I wanna have my, just something controlling the top of his body here, otherwise he could get out. So, all right, we've got his posture control, that's good. Second thing I look for is what's going on with his arm here, right? To finish the choke, and honestly the armbar as well, I prefer to have this elbow across here, right, into my hip, right? What I don't want is for it to be all the way back here or even here, right? Because then he's really able to open up this space next to his neck here, right? I won't get that full squeeze, and he'll be able to move my hips around in ways that I don't want to happen here. So in the event that his elbow is on the wrong side, right, on the non-ideal side, then this is when we'll start to pick up the hip here, right, and push it over and make sure it stays there, right? And then from here, once I have his elbow control, this is when I like to change my angle. So again, getting our posture control here, and now I can open up my guard, still nice and tight with my knees, so there's not a lot of space, right? Sometimes I see people when they're triangling me, they'll make this adjustment, but they leave all this space here, right? And all Ethan has to do is pull his arm out, right? So even if I'm like holding onto his head here, right? If he pulls his arm out, there we go, I lose the triangle, right? So not good, so in order to prevent that from happening, right? Whenever I unlock my triangle, I still want to pinch my knees in here, right? And then I can make this adjustment without giving so much space, right? At the very least, we want him to perceive the triangle as still being closed. So if he feels this space, he's going to think opportunity. Opportunity will result in action, right? So if we want to keep him all broken down and immobile and not moving and doing a bunch of weird stuff, right? Stay tight. So, all right, make this adjustment here, right? I'm trying to get his shoulder out of the equation here. Now my legs move in a nice comfortable way, like right in front of me instead of splayed out to the side here, right? And from here, I'm going to focus on pinching my knees together and then biting my heels to my butt. And I'm going to continue squeezing and biting and squeezing, biting and squeezing and biting until he taps, right? I'm not like squeezing and letting go and then biting and letting go and just slowly pulling everything together nice and tight, right? I still, at the end of it, if I need to, right, I can pull on his head here. But when I'm training, I want to focus on developing these clampy muscles, right? That way, when it's time to do it in real life, we'll be strong enough to finish the choke, and if, just in case we need it, we can still always pull on the back of the head. So over here, common problems, right? A lot of the time, the person on bottom, they start getting triangle. The first thing they're going to do, maybe not the first, but one of the things they might do is stack, right? So if Ethan if he pulls my hips over my head, this is very bad. He'll be able to make me uncomfortable enough. At the very least, I'm not going to have the angle to finish anything useful, right? But at the worst, he'll be able to pry the guard open. So let's go back a step. So when this happens, right, we cannot be lazy with our hips and our little posterior chains, right? If I allow him to fold me up, I'm going to get folded up, right? So when he starts to try to fold me up, I'm going to extend my hips here. And if he continues to try and walk up, I'm going to shimmy my shoulders back as long as it takes for him to stop stacking me here. All right, so that's going to be something that you remain dynamic with. All right, if he tries to stack, you're going to shimmy. All right. On the rare occasion, maybe not rare, on the occasion that you do get stacked, right? He's coming here. An alternative option will be, all right, we can control the head, and I like to scoop this leg here. And now we've got a nice pendulum sweep. So it has, I think we covered the pendulum sweep last week in the class, but it is perfect for this when they're like driving their weight forward, right? If we're able to catch it, just redirect some of that momentum. It's not so bad, right? And that leg hook is actually pretty useful as well when you get people who try and stand up for whatever reason, like they want to powerbomb you. All right? By hooking here, we're going to make sure his posture stays broken down. This is also the best angle to attack this arm bar. All right, so if I want to extend here, or I can bring this leg over his face and finish. So if he's stacking, right, we got to be super active here with our hips, right? I cannot be relaxed. If he starts to stack, I need to push him away. Right? I can't let him pull me over. Let's see. Triangle. Right, so one of the escapes that people like to do, especially when this elbow gets across, is they'll grab the knee and try to push everything to the ground on this side. Right, so this can be very annoying because his shoulder should be actively pushing against my shin. If he continues driving forward, right, he'll be able to escape. So when this happens, there's a couple of things that I'll try and do. Right, first, if he starts to grab and before he gets the knee across, if I can take my foot here and bite it against his hip and turn it inwards, I can force his head in the opposite direction and take his ability to push the knee to the floor out of the equation, right? And this helps me get the angle that I want to finish my arm bar. Right, so that's just biting down and pushing, right? So if he does start grabbing this knee, that's something we gotta be aware of here. We're being always active with our legs here, right? If he does get the knee to the floor here, right, sometimes I can just push, right, and get him back into the position here, right? Sometimes I'll even grab this knee and just start pulling everything back, right? And then the last option, as he's pulling, right, and I can't get underneath there, we can try putting him on the bottom. Right, so just basically turning the hips over and trying to roll over into this mounted position. And then from here, you've got a little bit of gravity and the ability to use his hips to turn. All right, so triangle defense here. All right, so we're going to be kind of working our way opposite of what the person on bottom wants, right? Ethan wants my elbow to this side here. I'm not going to let that happen. Alright, so as soon as you find yourself in a triangle, what I like to think about is I need to pull my shoulder away from my neck. So it's like a reverse shrug. I've been calling them gershes because that's shrug backwards, right? But can I have my body back? Thanks. Right, so shrugging is this way to hide the neck. We want to do the opposite. We want to expose the neck. So we're going to be activating our lat, pulling our shoulders down, and making sure there's as much space in between my shoulder and my neck as possible. right? Second thing, what I'm worried about is, again, like the shoulder coming up. It's the same thing, but in it's a different type of problem, but it's the same problem, right? Having this shoulder squish up into my neck, right? I want to activate this, but as I move for this escape, what I need to be worried about is this elbow creeping forward and up, right? Because as my shoulder gets closer to the mat, my neck is going to get squished into my shoulder, and it's going to be a tighter triangle, right? So if you find yourself, as you're adjusting, that this separation is starting to cease to exist, you need to readjust and get yourself back on track. What I look for is I like to use the floor as a thing to help keep my elbow locked down, right? So I'll bring my elbow to the floor and put a little bit of weight into it, right? That way Ethan can't just pull it into him here, right? You probably could if you tried hard, but we want to at least make him try hard. But ideally, we want this elbow locked in and not going anywhere. My hand, additionally, I hide the hand as well, because if it's flopping over here, right, my shoulder is starting to collapse, he's going to be able to pull and guide my arm across. So I hide it underneath like his armpit or his upper mid ribs, wherever you can, right? So what I want to do is I'm trying to put pressure on his ankles and force this triangle to pop open. So I'm going to make like this weird kind of twisting motion with my shoulders, and it'll affect his legs and hopefully pop it open. Right, so what I like to do is I like to pull back on my elbow and plant my elbow onto the floor, right, and then keep working my way back, right? So if Ethan is triangling me, is that in?
Yeah.
All right. So, right, first step, get this elbow back. I'm going to start working this back in, right? And then once his legs pop open, I'm going to try and pull this back, and I can either start trying to stack pass him here, right, or I can try and slip around. All right, so I hide my arm, hide my elbow. All right, so this is similar to the escape that we've done before, where we like completely hide it, but I find that here it can be hard to not get your shoulder collapsed into your neck if someone squeezes hard enough, right? Versus here, the support of his ribs on my arm helps keep my everything nice and strong, right? So this arm, I like to have it just kind of tucked under here, right? And I'm going to start, I'm both driving with my left shoulder and pulling back, right? And now we can drive in. This is something that's going to require a lot of patience as well. If someone's being really, really active and trying to pull that arm across, you're probably just going to have to sit, wait till they stop messing with it. Because every time I make that readjustment, I'm going to have to pick up my elbow off the mat, and the mat's kind of the thing that's keeping me from having my shoulder collapsed in. So if he's actively pulling on it, might not be the best time to make that adjustment here, right? But if I can hide it and get it set on the floor here, right? At the very least, I can make it so that he can't finish. Right? And then I'm gonna try and work my way into having this up here. All right, so it's this far across, and I have no ability to move this back. All right, then I'm gonna usually end up doing something different, and I think we covered that a bit earlier. All right, if we're here and he's holding, all right, we're gonna find his knee, cup with both hands, push it to the mat, and now I'm gonna come up on my toes and drive my shin to open up that leg. And opening is gonna be hard. It's going to be extremely difficult. At the very least, we should be able to prevent them from finishing the triangle, where we can just be there until they hopefully decide to move on to something else. But if you do it right, it should work. I think the key is making sure that you're not just grabbing in front of the quad here, right? I need to get in front of the knee here. That way I can pull myself up in the direction that applies force to the back of his calf. Right, if it's here, I don't have that same ability to pry. I got some, but not as much as if I get up here, right? The hand that's on bottom is going to be the arm bar one, right? The one that's vulnerable, so I can at least have something to kind of keep it in place here, right? If I have this one on top, he'll probably try to arm bar me immediately, right? Which is no good. Ow, sorry. Right, so we hide it, push it to the floor, and drive. Right? And if it works, be grateful because you were supposed to get tapped. You got into a triangle position. These are the best ideas that'll help defend, but if the person does everything right, you're gonna get tapped. So don't get triangled in the first place. Oh yeah, this happens. All right, sometimes when we're going to put this elbow on the mat, we get turned all the way over, and it's very uncomfortable, right? But fear not, you'll be okay. Just don't let your arm fully extend here, right? But just keep turning over here, squish the hips to the floor, and you should be okay. Maybe you'll get swept, but at least you're not getting triangled. Right, but that happens a lot, because what I don't want is for this elbow to come forward, right? So if I start falling, I'm not gonna let this elbow come, and I'm going to end up turning all the way down. Right, but we can try to pull this leg out, or the arm out of the leg. So that happens sometimes. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's fine.